You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
Oh, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. Get more with Geico.
Hi, welcome back to Women Making Moves, where we celebrate the moves that women are making. My name is Amy Pons, founder of Unlock the Magic Coaching and Healing. I'm joined today with Karen Fleshman, founder of Interracial Sisterhood Coalition and Racy Conversations. Karen Fleshman's purpose is to unite women across difference so we can secure our collective safety and freedom. Karen is a sought-after speaker, facilitator, consultant, and coach, facilitating racy conversations at leading companies and building interracial sisterhood at in-person retreats and in an online community, the Interracial Sisterhood Coalition. Throughout her career in the immigrant rights movement and youth workforce developments, she led diverse teams and worked for remarkable women of color leaders who provided specific feedback on her strengths and growth areas. By emulating their practices, implementing their feedback, and listening to her teams, she transformed how she led and her teams thrived. Now she shares what she learned with others, guiding them through her Becoming Trustworthy framework. Whether you're a white woman seeking to earn the trust of women of color, or a manager seeking to create a culture of belonging on your team, Karen serves as a trustworthy guide. Karen, welcome.
Thank you so much, Amy. I'm delighted to be here.
It's a week.
A heavy week.
You know, I want to dive into everything that you're feeling and experiencing right now. One of the things that I, over the past 24 hours or more, have been really in my feelings about and just heartbroken is the murder of Irina Zaruska in South Carolina on the subway. Did you hear about that?
I have heard about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's one of the things that is like in my visceral field. It was something I watched right when I woke up yesterday morning. I was like, oh my God. So what's on your heart?
What's on my heart? The Epstein survivors press conference last week and their boldness in coming forward and the pressure on elected officials to decide, are you going to stand with survivors or are you going to stand with rapists? I've never in my life experienced something like this, of this degree of magnitude. And also, to be honest, the assassination of Charlie Kirk is weighing on me very heavily, although I abhor and do not condone his beliefs. As someone, as a scholar or of white supremacy and patriarchy, I just think it is our intergenerational trauma as white people, this collective public display of violence that is so silencing for those young people who experienced it there or via social media, the fact that it was on a university campus, the fact that so many of our university campuses are now open carry environment, and also so many scholars are under pressure from the very students that Charlie Kirk mobilized, are are putting a lot of pressure on professors to be silent about their political beliefs. It is just a terrible, terrible climate, so dangerous for everybody.
Do you feel that the death of Melissa Hortman is that in this feeling that you have?
Oh, 100%.
And then there was a school shooting. It's a whole lot. And I don't really know what to do with these events that keep happening. Because I'm like, on one hand, we have reached a fever pitch as a society. So there's this element of not being so shocked, but also shocked.
Yes.
When it does actually occur in real time. So where do we talk about this, and is it anywhere safe?
Yes, is anywhere safe. Then we become more isolated. We become more fearful. We don't want to go out in public. Public officials, and I'm someone who gets out and talks in front of crowds of people, facilitate workshops. It becomes very, very silencing. And I want to talk for a minute about the stabbing that you mentioned. And I'm not in any way trying to minimize how horrific it is that this woman was killed, but women get killed in this country all the time.
Every day.
Every day.
Today. Yeah.
I think the reason why this is being highlighted and so pervasive is because it is a young, thin, beautiful, blonde woman killed by a dark-skinned Black man. And so this has been an ongoing narrative throughout U.S. history that we must protect the delicate white woman from the subhuman Black man, from the subhuman Indigenous man. And the person who will protect them, of course, is the strong white man. When in fact, the person most likely to harm white women is the strong white man, whether it's our husband or our father or some other family member or a person from our faith community, just on and on and on. But because they have been able to strike so much fear into us about Black people, and they use that imagery very, very deliberately to distract us. Why are we seeing that so much? I think it is directly tied to the pressure on the Epstein files. And they don't want those disclosed. And so they're trying to really heighten the fear factor and make white women believe somehow that Donald Trump is going to keep us safe.
Oh gosh, as a domestic violence survivor, I can testify that as a white woman, the men that I have felt unsafe around are white men in my personal experiences.
Yeah, I'm a domestic violence survivor as well as a rape survivor. I was trigger warning.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put a trigger warning in for both of us.
I was raped at the age of 16 by a popular athlete in my high school at a party. Mm-hmm. And that rape has had a huge impact on me my entire life. And when I really listened to these Epstein survivor stories, whether they were children when it happened or young adults, it is so horrific. The fact that there's well over 1,000 of them. And the fact that that birthday book that all these wealthy, powerful men knew exactly what he was doing, were participating in it, and thought it was hilarious. I mean, when you study white supremacy and patriarchy, you're like, okay, that's it. I've gotten to the bottom of it. This is as bad as it can be. And then you learn some new thing and you're like, oh my God, it is just so much worse.
I think what's baffling to me is not only people that are trying to not unseal them, but do you really think that all these people aren't in it? Like, I've heard out in the wild that a lot of supporters are like, well, if he's in it, or if so-and-so is in it, I'm like, that's the sword you're going to fall on of everything. But this, and what more evidence, I guess. I guess like the actual files are the actual concrete evidence, but I still feel when those come out, I still feel there will be like a smoke and mirror, something kind of what you were saying earlier. When they do come out, there's going to be something that's going to sweep it all away. Something is going to try to fake us out.
Yes. Well, a young woman reporter connected with a US DOJ official on Hinge and went on a couple of dates with him and videotaped their conversation clandestinely. And he was talking about how they're going to redact all the Republicans' names out and leave all the Democrats' names in, how they offered a sweetheart deal to Ghislaine Maxwell that violates the Bureau of Prisons policies since she's a convicted sex offender, and all the internal politics within the Department of Justice and the FBI. So we know, everyone knows exactly what is going on. And I'm really grateful for the leadership of Representative Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, and all the Democrats have signed on, and then a total of 4 Republicans have signed on. And then yesterday, Chuck Schumer tried to force a vote in the Senate as well.
I saw that. Did it not go through?
It did not go through. But 2 Republicans voted with the Democrats. It lost 49-51. So this is what I am telling everybody. The congressional switchboard operator phone number is 202-224-3121. And you can find online who your representative is and if they've signed. It's called the discharge petition on the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And we can put that link in the notes. You can see if your person has signed, and you can see if your senators voted yes or no. If they were Democrats or Rand Paul or Josh Hawley from Missouri, they voted to open up the Epstein files. So pick up the phone, call that number, ask to be transferred to your senator's offices, and then ask to be transferred to your House of Representatives, your representative, and let them know. Either tell them, thank you so much. This is so important to me. These files have to be disclosed. People have to be held to account. Or tell them, I see you haven't signed this yet. This is so important to me, and I'm going to base my vote going forward on what you do, because you know the pressure is very intense on them from the White House to keep the files under wraps.
So I have to ask, will it matter since it's redacted?
I think it will matter, because my understanding is that the House Oversight Committee gets everything. They get both the redacted copy and the original document, so they can compare the two and see how it's been redacted.
I mean, I don't know if this is real, the message in the birthday book.
Oh, yeah. The book is now online. We can put the notes to the birthday book. You can now scroll through, I think it's like 239 pages PDF of the birthday book, which is where we're seeing all these images, including the one where it's a cartoon drawing of Epstein handing out balloons to little girls in 1983. And then it says 2003, and it's Epstein laying down, being massaged by 4 topless women.
So again, I don't know why I guess, like, what is the ultimate kind of judgment we're waiting for? Because it still feels like if we get everything out, still feels like there's going to be something that'll be like, well, there will be this sort of masking, or there'll be like a distraction, or
of course.
It just feels like, we've known all the egregious things that have always been said about women amongst a vast majority of the administration, and amongst all men in politics. That's not probably really fair.
Well, no, it is totally fair. In fact, that's another thing that's come out. Apparently, there is a slush fund to defend members of Congress against sexual harassment and sexual assault complaints.
Come on. And if that's always been there, I have to look to previous administrations to be like, really?
Oh, yeah. Well, don't forget, this goes back. I mean, literally, this country was founded by child rapists, by slave owners, plantation owners. They would not have had the time to write the Declaration of Independence, to fight in the War of Independence, to write the Constitution, if they did not have enslaved people toiling away without any compensation. And it was that wealth that they generated that gave them the time. Dr. Ibram Kendi talks about this. And Thomas Jefferson started with his 14-year-old little baby, and they had 5 kids together. And he had a special room created for her off of his bedroom. I mean, these people, I'm going to do a podcast with a model who was part of the big modeling scene in the 80s and the 90s about everything that was going on there and how
Everything from clothing to household items are getting more expensive each day. American Giant is about keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never leave the U.S. Support American-made, tariff-free clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off when you use code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
all of this, the modeling world is basically like a big child sex trafficking operation.
Right. I've heard a lot about that too. I'll make sure to tune in and find that out. So yeah, absolutely. To your point, I always talk about this where this country was founded on systems of white supremacy, colonialism, patriarchy, capitalism, oppression, narcissism, and it's gotten to this fever pitch. And there's a part of me that it's like, well, of course, all of the federal, everything has to implode for us to be able to even like tear it all down to then create the new. So in some ways, and I'm not advocating, but in some ways, the current administration is doing kind of that dismantling for us. Not to say I agree or how it's being done and like how many humans are getting hurt, but it's also like there's a let 'em kind of vibe.
Yes. I mean, certainly I despise the way that people are being hurt, and 300,000 Black women pushed out of.
It's up to like 500,000 now.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's Katika Roy is someone that is, it translates into the oppression on various social media platforms. It's like you force women out of the workplace and then they go to try to build their own thing and they're oppressed out on the platforms that they're meant to promote to try to drive their business. So it's like, are you keeping the money from women across the board? Yeah, that's what it feels like.
100%. And, I lived in New York City from 97 to 2012, which is like the rise of private equity and hedge fund hypercapitalism. Then I moved to San Francisco, which is like the capital of venture capitalism. Yeah. And all of that predation too, how basically instead of corporations being founded to solve a real need and to provide valuable goods and services to the people and a great place to work for the workers and the benefits and the retirement and to be good corporate citizens. It's just this incredibly extractive capitalism that leaves everybody like, hanging on by our fingernails, one paycheck away from becoming homeless. And it makes us so compliant. And I always talk about this in my racism workshops, is that who benefits from white people being up here pushing down on Black and brown people down here? Well, who really benefits is the 1%, because we're so busy fighting with each other for crumbs that the 1% is able to just extract everything and become billionaires, becoming trillionaires. So we just have so much in common. We have so much to learn from each other, and we can change everything. We can transform everything. That's why the 1% is investing so heavily in teaching us lies and hatred of each other to prevent us from uniting, so that we can actually take them on. That is why I created the Interracial Sisterhood Coalition, because I saw a need outside of the workplace where we're pitted against each other. And of course, white women can be terrible, terrible players in the oppression of other women, particularly in the workplace. So we need a place outside of the workplace that's an opt-in space for us to hear each other's stories and begin to form relationships with each other. Because we are, by design, white supremacists were very savvy people. They're like, the last thing we want is for white people and people of color to get to know each other. So we're going to segregate the neighborhoods. We're going to segregate the schools. We're going to put all this garbage on television and in movies and now on social media to fill people's heads with lies. So the average white person in America, their social circle is 90% white. And 2/3 of white Americans' social circle is entirely white. So if you're never getting firsthand experience relating with someone, you're so likely to believe the kinds of stuff that Charlie Kirk was espousing.
One of the things I've come to realize is I used to be an amazing white feminist. And
okay. It sounds like we're in an AA meeting. I'm Amy, and I'm a recovering, amazing white feminist.
Yes, that's absolutely what and who I am. One of the things, admittedly, Karen, that's kind of driving me a little bit bonkers right now out on LinkedIn is that almost let me not broad brush, a lot of white women that I see posting about the amount of women that have been ousted from the 9 to 5 this year, etc., they're consistently using the 212,000. And that's not the whole story. That's not even close to the whole story. And I don't want to say that they're doing this on purpose, but that's an example from my experience of being an amazing white feminist back in the day. And this is when I was in corporate America. So I was really going hard for a lot of things. And then this wonderful woman said to me, "Do you mean all women?" And I was like, "Of course I do." And I learned very quickly, beautifully through her. And it's not anyone's job, especially women of color, to teach us. But at the same time, she felt in that moment like we had a moment. And she was like, "Here's what I'm talking about." And it just blew my mind because of my own lived experience in a small central Illinois town. That's all I knew. I thought I was being an amazing advocate for all women. And I give myself a lot of grace. I don't judge her. Myself, my old self, that is. I'm like, you did great with the information that you had. Now I will constantly challenge, are we talking about all women? And I'll find different examples to kind of not make anybody wrong, but I'll give very specific examples as to how certain fights or how certain movements are benefiting only white women or primarily white women, and just try to, with grace. And if they come back with a retort, then I'll be like, okay, you do you. I'll preserve my energy as well. But I'm a womanist. And that's just a recent example of how I've been showing up in those places. I see this 212,000 number everywhere. And I'm like, I'm kind of exhausted about it. I'm like, y'all, stop posting about the 212,000. It's probably now, it's probably almost 1 million of all women. And are we surprised? Because going back to what you said about how the country was created, well, that's how the workplace was created. And actually, go ahead, or high five.
No. Oh, I was high-fiving you. Yes.
And further, the workplace was designed from an auto industry and military style. It's like, okay. So in my view, somebody was like, do you want to tear up the Constitution? I'm like, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Constitution itself is designed for minoritarian rule. Right. That's why me here in California with 40 million people have 2 U.S. senators, and 600,000 people who live in Wyoming also have 2 U.S. senators. And that's why we have the Electoral College. And that's why we have gerrymandering. We have all these things in place that the plantation owner Southern lawmakers extracted in order to sign on to the Constitution, the 3/5 compromise, in order to coerce the North to granting them this so that they would be able to hold onto power. And now it's 200 some years later, and these dynamics are still at play. And so people get exhausted. We get so frustrated because we're like, I'm doing what you said to do. I'm voting and all these things, but it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And it's because by design, the Constitution, although it says, all men are created equal, or no, it starts, we the people, they were really only talking about the white landowning men, of course, whose land it was that they owned. It was the land that they stole and genocided away from the native people, many of whom also owned enslaved people. So that's who designed everything. They created it in their own self-interest. And generation after generation, we've convinced them. First, it was the white non-landowning men. They granted the right to vote. Then it was the Black men. They granted the right to vote, but then they instituted Jim Crow to make sure they couldn't vote. Then it was white women who convinced them, oh, let us vote and you'll double the white vote and you can keep all that Jim Crow stuff so you don't have to worry about the other voters. It's been this inching, and then it's like you fight your whole life for these changes and they're so incremental. And I really love this quote from R. Buckminster Fuller about how you never can fight against the existing system. You have to build a new system that makes the old system obsolete. And that's what I feel like, hopefully, this is emerging right now.
That's what we're doing.
That's
yes,
what
Karen,
we're doing.
That's what we're doing. That's why.
Yes.
So it's like I spend so much of my energy and time not dwelling on. I haven't said actually in a long time. I haven't talked about how the country was created. It's very real to me, but I am personally, my energy is creating the new existence where everybody, so all humans, I'm creating the existence we all deserve. That is what I'm laser focused on. And that's why, like, a lot of times with all of this that's coming down, I'm like, let them, with the acute awareness of how much humanity is suffering right now. I have both. I hold both energies, and that's what I reverberate out into the collective is that, oh no, I'm leading with this, it's love. It's this energetic ask right now. It's like a spiritual ask of like, how do you want the new world to be? Oh, okay, let's walk in that by any degree. And to your point, things happen over the past week and yesterday, like, it's not like flipping a switch and being like, okay, I'm still going to create the good stuff, even though all this bad stuff's happening. No, feel your feels, get into the human element of what is transpiring, let yourself feel it. And then by any degree, as you process through, you create that energy of what you do want. And that's really the beautiful ask right now. So it's like not toxic positivity of just, yeah, all this bad stuff happening, but we're creating the new, both. Be a human and also hold energetically what you do want in this world. And that's what that's what we're creating. That's what we're focused on. So The old system is just going to be completely obsolete. It's literally just going to be like something that everybody puts down one day. And it's cool. Okay, now we're in the new.
I love that story. And that is so related to what we do in the Becoming Trustworthy small group coaching program for white women. It's about how do we get in touch with who we were before patriarchy and white supremacy robbed us of our autonomy, of our collectivity, of our agency, of our connection to each other, of our self-confidence. And it's still in us.
Yes.
It's still there.
I get so excited. It's the new feminine, which is this new feminine energy that we hold the entire line. We hold the entire spectrum of both creating physical safety and emotional safety, first for ourselves, so that we can shine into each other. And this is what we're creating. That's the gorgeous exquisiteness of this time and place that we chose to be here. So thank you. I just get so excited.
Yes, me too. And we focus really on practicing that self-compassion.
Yes.
Is the first thing we do. We can't have compassion for others until we have compassion for ourselves. And then understanding this whole history, how we got programmed to show up the way we do, how do we get rid of that conditioning, adopt new beliefs and behaviors so we can initiate relationships across difference, strengthen those relationships, and then bring more white women into the movement in a way that is welcoming and inviting and does not totally alienate them and make them feel like shit, because who wants to come to the movement where you feel like shit all the time?
No, you said something so important. This is my call to all white women. Be open and available to visit how you are participating in the systems without judgment to yourself, but just be able to say it like I did a little bit ago. I was an amazing white feminist. That doesn't mean you're bad. Can you try to connect and have compassion for yourself that we haven't been taught or nurtured any other way? You know, I run into these women all day, every day, out in my practice and out in my energy field. And most recently this week, I said, the ask right now is to do less. It's to feel more. And she was like, well, I tell my kids that despite how you feel, you've just got to kind of buck up and get to it. And I'm like, oh gosh. Okay, that's not the vibe. I didn't react in real time, but I was like, huh.
That's why the number one practice of the small group coaching program is slow down.
Yeah.
Like I recommend for the hour before we do our group coaching sessions that you do nothing, just rest for that hour.
Oh, Karen, I can't wait to look more into your group coaching because I also have a group coaching and I also teach magic school, which is it's returning to your intuition.
Yes.
So we have some really fun tools, but it's also like, before you can explain it away, what is your very first instinct when you pick up this crystal? What is it? And it could be nothing. Great. Put it down. It is giving women that moment to consider what could be true for your innate magic, your brilliance, the vibe that no one can do what you do, how you do it and feel. That's what magic school's about. So I want to tell you more about that later, but I digress. I digress.
No, that's wonderful. I want to also lift up what you said about you were this amazing white feminist until a woman of color pointed something out to you.
Yes.
And you received that with grace.
Oh.
You did not freak out, depart, deny, deflect, defend. You listened and you learned something and it transformed your life.
It truly did.
This is why we do the Interracial Sisterhood Retreat. It's a multi-day retreat. We're going to be in Barbados, November 6th to 10. It's going to be incredible because we need that time to build relationship with each other. And the very fact that she gave you that feedback is an indicator that she trusted you enough that you would not
fly off the handle.
Yes, or retaliate against her, or
I was mortified. More so than anything, I was just mortified. And I didn't express that in the moment, but I was like, no, no, I'm one of them. So that's where it comes in with a lot of compassion to try to not judge yourself, but be able to receive it. That's critical. I can tell right away energetically if someone's going to be able to receive my feedback on like, oh gosh, help me understand the origin of that, like, and how that's going to go. But even girlfriends in my friend group, I'll be like, oh, that's a white feminist statement. And they're like, what? So you get to feel into who can receive that. So this has gone so fast. We're about 15 minutes out. I want to go to a post that you made recently that actually got me into your inbox and was like, Karen, can I talk to you? So you posted about a week ago, 7 years ago today, a group of great women were first in line for the first day of Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee. We had slept on the Senate lawn to reserve our spot. The energy in that hearing was intense. We disrupted multiple times. The bolder we were, the bolder the Democratic senators became. And you explain a lot about your experience, and the Supreme Court is decimating the rights of everyday Americans in favor of the ultra-wealthy and corporations. It feels overwhelming, like this tiny group of people have all the power. But then I remember the power of the people. We don't work for them. They work for us. We fought like hell during the Kavanaugh hearings. The solidarity and sisterhood I experienced changed my life. We can and we must fight back again. Women uniting across difference is the only way we will protect our rights and create a future where we all thrive. And there's this awesome picture of you just raging out. I love it. Sacred rage. Yes. So Karen,
yelling directly at the people responsible for the problem is like the most empowering thing ever. I'm so grateful to the folks from Women's March who organized us to be there. It was incredible group of women and allies. It was really a beautiful experience.
Can you imagine Justice Ketanji Brown or Sonia Sotomayor like going into work every day?
Oh.
I'm a workplace abuse survivor and advocate as well. And I can't imagine what they experience every day in their workplace.
That confirmation hearing with Ketanji Brown Jackson, particularly when Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee was questioning her, it was excruciating. It was horrific. Mm-mm. Like the level of white women violence onto Black women. And to look at Ketanji Brown Jackson compared to Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And the decision that came out on Monday with yes, it's perfectly fine to consider race, to stop someone to see, if they might be in the country undocumented. And Brett Kavanaugh's disgusting opinion in that, I guess they call it a shadow docket. It's so much. I feel for them so much, and I send them so much love and care, like a giant energy blanket surrounding them and protecting them and shielding them. And I was really happy when I saw Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson made her dream come true of being the first Supreme Court justice on Broadway. She appeared in a Broadway musical. She had put that on her Harvard application that she wanted to be the first Supreme Court justice to appear on Broadway.
I didn't see that. I'll have to lift that up. Absolutely.
It is so wonderful. Yes. But going back to your point about recovering from white feminism, it really comes back to what Maya Angelou taught us, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. And this is the invitation to all the white women who are listening to this. We can do so much better. It doesn't have to be like this, y'all. It can be so beautiful and rich and light and fun. We do not sit around and moan. We sit around and laugh. We laugh so hard in our interracial sisterhood. Yes, we work through some very challenging stuff, but there's so much joy and camaraderie. It is such a beautiful feeling. And it's also very intergenerational, right? It's Gen Z and boomers and everybody in between.
Ah, as an elder millennial, that's music to my ears because I often talk about how, again, in my experience in the workplace, women of Boomer and X perpetuated the most oppression and were not willing to change things for us. And it feels like the millennial generation is the first big wave of women that are proactively unsubscribing, saying, no, thank you. Let me get out here and change this. And then Z is not even entertaining entering. He's like, I'm out. We're not even going there. Don't play. I love Z so much.
I love Z too. I have 2 Zs and I live with my silent generation mom, and I'm a Gen Xer. So it's all intergenerational every day in this place. And can be a lot of clashes, but there's also a lot of camaraderie. And I think it also goes to what millennials grew up in. You know, today is September 11th. The millennials, the 2008 economic downturn really decimated your parents' financial well-being. And then you graduated into a job market that was just terrible. And so you've never had the kind of institutional support that prior generations had to just kind of get you on your grounding. So you've always had to be more entrepreneurial, more self-determining, more connected via social media, all of those things. And I'm so grateful to my millennial friends. I learned so much. I always say my mentees are my greatest mentors.
Absolutely. So as we start to wind down, Karen, how would someone, and I want to be clear here. So for Interracial Sisterhood Coalition, it's any woman.
Correct.
It's for any woman.
Mm-hmm.
To come together. But you make sure that it's every type of woman that walks on this planet.
Correct. Including trans women.
Amazing.
Very welcome. Yes.
So it's a true all women space.
Correct. And it's an opt-in space. You have to answer questions. It is a subscription model. You pay a monthly fee, and then we get together and have conversation within the network. So, we have community agreements. If anyone's, not upholding the community agreements, we discontinue them, but we've never really had that. The people who are opting into this are amazing. So then there's the YouTube channel, and the newsletter is kind of how you get into the world, and then you go into the community. Then we have in-person events. We have a happy hour coming up. We have a Pilates and brunch event coming up. Going to see Arundhati Roy speak and then talking about it afterwards coming up. In-person events. And then, as I mentioned, the 2025 Interracial Sisterhood Retreat in Barbados, November 6th through 10th. So the best way to learn all about this is that there's links underneath here that list where all these different things are. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Karen Fleshman. I am a white woman named Karen, and connect with me on there. And I just thank you so much, Amy. Thank you so much. This was so what I was just feeling horrible before we got on. It's just so heavy and intense right now. And I find it very difficult to concentrate. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I need to do, and I'm just kind of, my nervous system is very dysregulated. So I'm really grateful for this experience with you. It's very grounding and healing for me. And I love the work that you're doing. I love that you introduced me to that Adrienne Rich quote about the relationships between women is the most transformative, difficult thing on the planet. And I could not agree more.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for coming to share your light, share your work, share your wisdom, share the how, because I think a lot of times when a lot of us want to get out here and be in community, it's like, how do we do this? Well, you've created it. So everybody check out Interracial Sisterhood Coalition with Karen Fleshman and get involved. And I would really invite everyone to have the audacity to be so unapologetically open about what you don't know, that you learn just a little bit something from someone that doesn't look like you every single day, look like you or have your same lived experience. And for those of us who are on panels like myself, the first thing I'll do is when someone asks me to speak on a panel, I'll say who's on the panel. And if it's all white women, I say no, thank you, or diversify and come back to me.
Excellent. I love that, Amy. It is such a pleasure to meet you and to hear your story. And thank you for this wonderful podcast. And Magic School sounds amazing.
I'll tell you more about it. Karen, any closing remarks? Anything that you would put as a stamp on today's episode?
I would just say we will never get safe and free alone. We can only get safe and free collectively. And in the words of Audre Lorde, I am not free while any woman is unfree, even when her shackles are very different from my own.
I just had a complete chill from my root chakra all the way up to my crown chakra. I felt thousands of women in my ancestry come around me. So thank you for that. You spoke directly to them. So they're here. We're going to go rage out somehow in love and light. So Karen, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We love you, and we'll see you soon again.
Love you too. Bye.
Everything from clothing to household items are getting more expensive each day. American Giant is about keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never leave the U.S. Support American-made, tariff-free clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off when you use code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.